Once upon a time, in a peaceful kingdom nestled between mountains and rivers, there lived a wise young prince named Leon. His kingdom, Terra Nova, had prospered under the guidance of his father, King Darien, and soon it would be his turn to rule. But Leon was not concerned with wealth or power. His greatest desire was to lead with kindness and fairness. In the neighboring kingdom of Valoria, there lived a princess named Elena. She was known not only for her beauty, but for her compassion toward her people. Elena spent her days walking among the villagers, listening to their troubles and helping those in need. Though the kingdoms had been distant for years, there was talk of uniting them through marriage between Leon and Elena. One summer day, Prince Leon visited Valoria with a proposal of friendship between the two kingdoms. He had heard much about Princess Elena and was eager to meet her. The two were introduced at a grand banquet, but instead of discussing politics, they found themselves walking together in the royal gardens, away from the noise of the festivities. Your reputation precedes you, Princess Elena, Leon said, admiring the rows of blooming roses. I've heard you are beloved by your people. Elena smiled softly. I try to serve them as best I can. A ruler's strength comes not from their title, but from the love and trust of their people. What about you, Prince Leon? What do you believe makes a great king? Leon paused, gazing at the ancient willow tree at the edge of the garden. Its long branches swayed gently in the breeze, casting shadows over the ground. I believe that a king's power lies in his word. A promise, once made, should never be broken. If a ruler cannot be trusted, how can their people follow them? Elena nodded. Wise words, Prince Leon. I agree, and yet keeping promises can be difficult when the weight of the crown grows heavy. They sat under the willow tree, its branches enveloping them in a quiet green canopy. Leon took a deep breath, feeling a sense of peace he hadn't expected. Elena, may I make a promise to you? Leon asked, turning to face her. She looked at him curiously. What kind of promise? I promise to lead with fairness and integrity, no matter the challenges I face. And should the day come when our kingdoms are united, I will always keep my word to you and your people. I will never break a promise I make. Elena's gaze softened. That's a noble promise, Leon, but promises are easy to make when times are peaceful. It is when the storms come and they are tested. I know, Leon replied, but I intend to keep this one.
Years passed.
Leon became the king of Terra Nova. His rule began in a time of peace, and he kept his promise to be a fair and kind ruler. The people of Terra Nova loved him for his honesty and dedication, just as he had vowed under the willow tree. But then a great drought fell upon the land. The rivers dried up, crops withered, and the people began to suffer. Valoria, the neighboring kingdom, was not spared from the disaster either. In their desperation, the two kingdoms turned to each other for aid. Elena, now Queen of Valoria, sent an urgent message to Leon. Our people are starving, and we have no more grain. Will you help us? Leon received the message with a heavy heart. Terra Nova too was struggling, and his advisors urged him to keep all remaining resources for his own people. You must think of Terra Nova first, said one of his ministers. We cannot afford to share our supplies with Valoria. or we will face famine ourselves. Leon stood in his throne room, torn between his duty to his own people and the promise he had made to Elena years ago. But I gave my word, he whispered, remembering the willow tree and the peaceful summer day they had shared. How can I turn my back on that? Your Majesty, promises are noble, but survival is more important, another advisor urged. You cannot feed both kingdoms. Leon knew they were right. His own people came first. But as he prepared to send his response to Queen Elena, his mind kept returning to the words he had spoken under the willow tree. I cannot break my promise, he said at last, more to himself than anyone else. A king's strength is in his word. Later that evening, Leon rode out alone to the border of Valoria. In the moonlight, he saw Elena waiting for him by the river bank. She had come to meet him personally, hoping for aid but fearing the worst. I'm sorry, Leon began as he dismounted his horse. My kingdom is also suffering. I can't give you all that I have, but I can't leave you with nothing either. Elena looked at him, her face calm despite the tension in the air. I understand, Leon. We are all struggling, but I never asked for everything. All I ask is for us to share what little we can spare for the sake of both our people. Leon nodded, relief washing over him. Then I will send half of our remaining grain to Valoria. It will be difficult for both of our kingdoms, but we will survive together. Elena smiled, her eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you, Leon. You kept your promise, and now I will make one to you. Valoria will stand by Terranova through this hardship, and together we will rebuild when the rains return.
The drought lasted another year.
Thanks to the cooperation between the two kingdoms, neither fell to ruin. As the first rain finally fell, Leon stood once again beneath the old willow tree in Valoria, reflecting on the challenges he had faced. Elena appeared beside him, looking up at the branches. It seems your promise was tested, after all. Leon smiled, and so was yours. Together we kept our word. True, Elena agreed. Sometimes the hardest promises to keep are the ones that seem impossible. But in the end, those are the promises that matter most. Moral lesson: a promise made in peace must still be kept in hardship. True integrity lies not in making promises, but in keeping them when the path is difficult.